Good morning, church. I'm here today to talk to you about Genesis chapter 39. And just kind of as a refresher of what's gone on before, Joseph was born to Jacob. He was Jacob's favorite son. And Jacob gave him the coat of many colors to let everyone know that that was his favorite son. And his brothers were very jealous of that. His brothers threw him in a pit. And he was born into privilege in his father's house, and then he got thrown in the pit by his brothers, where they sold him into a slave market. And then he ended up in Potiphar's house, which is where we find him today in chapter 39. Now, in Potiphar's house, Potiphar was an officer of Pharaoh, and that made him the captain of the guard, and as an Egyptian. And Joseph was bought from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. Potiphar, being the captain of the guard or officer of Pharaoh, was supposedly a eunuch. And the captain of guard kind of meant like chief of police. And so that meant that he was kind of like the head of security for Pharaoh. And God was with Joseph the whole time. God was with Joseph when he was thrown in the pit. God was with Joseph when he was bought by Potiphar. And so Joseph continued to just live and honor God through this whole situation. God allowed Joseph to be a slave in Potiphar's house, and God sometimes allows us to be in bad circumstances also. But even in his bad circumstances, he honored God and became successful. And Potiphar saw that Joseph was a hard worker and that he was doing everything really well. And so he gave him a lot of responsibility. And it ended up that Potiphar just kind of handed everything over to Joseph and let Joseph take care of everything. So he entrusted Joseph with pretty much everything, all of his duties. And the Lord continued to be with Joseph through this whole time, and continued to bless him and advanced him up as from just being the basic slave to kind of the one being in charge. Now, one thing that we also find out in this passage is that Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And so that caused him another little issue. His master's wife, Potiphar's wife, was very interested in Joseph. Now we have to think about that if Potiphar was really a eunuch, then his wife may have had to look other places for her love interest. So that could have been part of the problem here, and that Joseph was handsome. And she pursued him on a daily basis, and he continually refused her advances. She spoke to him every day, and he wouldn't do anything. And then there was one day when there were none of the men in the house, and Joseph came in, and she made an advance on him, and he did what we should all do. And anytime there's a temptation, we're supposed to, as 2 Timothy chapter 2:22 tells us, we should flee from our youthful lust. And he did that. And but unfortunately, he left his garment there. So his outer garment, so he's basically still had on his undergarments. He left his outer garment there, and which left her with some incriminating evidence against him. And since he wouldn't cave into her temptation, she was not happy about that. So she accused him of making advances toward her. And she knew that that would either mean a death sentence or prison for him. And she told Potiphar that Joseph had come in to lie with her. And oddly enough, Joseph, being the honorable guy that he was, he never even defended himself. Just as Jesus was silent to his accusers, Joseph was also silent here when he was being accused. So now he's gone from Potiphar's house. If we track it back, here he was in the lap of luxury with his dad. Then he ended up in a pit, sold off into slavery. He's back in a good position with Potiphar. Now he's off to prison. And so even in prison, Joseph continues to honor God and is a hard worker and is trying to prove that, he's really a good guy, which he does. And so the keeper of the prison handed all of the prisoners over to Joseph and let Joseph be in charge there. So Joseph just repeatedly shows us that no matter what our circumstances are, we need to honor God. Even in our worst days, we should be honoring God with our lives. And another good and very encouraging thing I take from this chapter is that God is always in control, even when we're going through something horrible, and it may seem horrible at the time. God may have a good ending plan for us. We just don't know. We have to trust Him in that. But we can trust that He's always in control, and He has good plans for us each day. So I hope that y'all enjoy reading Genesis chapter 39 today, and I hope you have a blessed day.